Good morning, dear students. Welcome back to our English class. Yesterday, we were discussing the poem The Inchcape Rock by Robert Southey. We have discussed up to the 6th stanza, where we get an introduction about the captain, Sir Ralph the Rover. Okay, now let's continue the rest of the poem. Take your textbook, page number 160. He felt the cheering power of spring. It made him whistle, it made him sing. His heart was mirthful to excess, but the rover's myth was wickedness. So throughout the lines, we can understand that the stanza deals with the Ralph's feelings and thoughts. Actually, he was delighted at the spring atmosphere. He was making whistling sound and singing in joy. He was actually overjoyed, but no one knew that a sinful thought is in his mind was behind his happiness. Then next stanza. His eyes was on the Inchcape float. Quoth he, "My men, put out the boat and draw me to the Inchcape rock, and I will blow the about of Abreth rock." So here we get an idea about the sinful thought behind his smile. So in these lines, Rover himself speaks and reveals his desire. His eyes were fixed on the floating bio on the Inchcape rock. Sir Ralph the Rover ordered his crew to take the boat to the Inchcape rock. Then he says that he is going to plague. Plague means kill or destroy. He is going to destroy the good work of the abode of Abreth rock. So what was his thought? Yes, the destruction of the work of Abreth rock was the sinful thought what he had in his mind. Then the next lines. The boat is lowered, the boatmen row, and to the Inchcape rock they go. Sir Ralph bent over from the boat, and he cut the bell from the Inchcape float. So in the 9th stanza, the poet describes that Rover's men took the boat to the Inchcape rock, and there he bent over the boat and cut the bell from the rock. Here we can see that his sinful thought made him to do a sinful work. And definitely he is going to pay for that. Let's see what happened next. Down sank the bell with a gurgling sound. The bubbles rose and burst around. Quoth Sir Ralph, the next who comes to the rock won't bless the abode of Abreth rock. So in this stanza, it tells us how the bell was singing down and making the bubbling sound. We can see the bubbles rose and burst around. Sir Ralph was happily thinking that the bell would no longer going to save the ships and the seamen would no longer bless the abode. So it is very clear that the ultimate intention of Ralph is robbery and wreck of other ships, as well as nobody no longer would bless the abode. The next lines. Sir Ralph the Rover sails away. He scoured the seas for many days, and now grown rich with plundered store. He steers his course for Scotland's shore. So, after breaking the bell, Sir Ralph the Rover sailed away from there. Thereafter, he had robbed and towed many ships which met accidents crashing to the Inchcape rock. He is now a rich man with all the looted treasures, and today he is going to the Scotland shore with his ship. Then next lines. So thick a azure spread the sky, they cannot see the sun on high. The wind hath blown a gale all day, at evening it hath died away. The 12th stanza describes the gloomy atmosphere here. On the day the rover is sailing to Scotland, the sun is hidden behind the thick fog, and strong winds were blowing all the day. And now, in the evening, it has stopped blowing. Next lines. On the deck, the rover takes his stand. So dark it is, they see no land. Caught Sir Ralph, it will be lighter soon, for there is the dawn of the rising moon. So in the previous lines, we saw that when he started to sail to Scotland, the atmosphere not as much pleasant. There was no sun or light at all, but at the evening all set down. And even though he just hopes, in the next lines he had a hope that it may become light when the moon arrives. So these four lines continues with the lack of scope, and the rover is now on the deck of the ship. He looks around but he cannot see the land. Why? Because it is so dark around. But even though Sir Ralph assures that the moon will be appear soon, and so there will be light. Next lines. Canst hear, said one. The breakers roar, for methinks we should be near the shore. Now, where we are I cannot tell, but I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell. So in this stanza, one of the Ralph's men says that he hears the roaring sound of the waves breaking against something. So he hopes they should be near the shore. Also, at the same time, he regrets about the sinful work what they did. If the Inchcape bell was there, it could guide them in that situation. Next lines. They hear no sound, the swell is strong. Though the wind hath fallen, they drift along, till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. Oh Christ, it is the Inchcape rock. In the previous lines, we saw that the shipmen cursing, regretting about the breaking of the bell. And now in this situation, they say they cannot hear any sound. The tide was so strong. The rover and his team are drifting along with the ship. Suddenly, the vessel gets a jerking. They all realize that the vessel has hit the Inchcape rock. Then Sir Ralph the rover tore his hair. He cursed himself in his despair. The waves rush in on every side. The ship is sinking beneath the tide. So, when Ralph and his team realize that their ship has hit the Inchcape rock, he himself curses and pulls over his hair in frustration. He himself curses for his evil deeds. Meanwhile, the water fills in every corner of the vessel and it started to singing in the sea. Then last, but even in his dying fear, one dreadful sound could the rover hear. A sound as if with the Inchcape bell, the devil below was ringing his knell. So in the last stanza of the poem, as the captain rover is dying, he hears a sound like the ringing of the Inchcape bell. It was actually his death knell, which the devil himself was ringing beneath the water. So finally, rover gets a punishment for his sinful work. So, throughout the poet gives us a teaching that there will be a reward for each and every of our work. So, it is our choice to make the work good or bad. I hope you all understood the poem. Thank you.